Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us on this unusually warm and wet winter day. And I will have to say that 6 months in, I'm still getting used to the New Hampshire weather. So let's recall: heavy snow and freezing rain Sunday, near zero and ferocious winds on Monday. Today, rain and 50 degrees. Just a typical week, I guess, in New Hampshire. It reminds me of the famous Mark Twain quote, "If you don't like the weather in New England, there's always the Patriots." Now, he didn't say that, actually. But I will say, many of you have studied statistics, so you can tell me whether this is coincidence or not, that the last time I stood at this podium, we were days away from the beginning of the World Series with the Red Sox. And now, coincidence? I don't know. Thank you. So of course we're here to talk about the future of UNH, but I'd first like to take a moment to thank all the hardworking members of our staff who make it possible for us to be here regardless of the weather. Winters like this remind us of how fortunate we are to have colleagues who keep our community safe, fed, warm, and running on time 24/7. And I wonder if we could just give them all a hand to thank them. I'm delighted to see so many members of our academic community here today. Our talented students, many of whom are the first in their families to attend college. Our faculty, who often go above and beyond to support our students and to pursue research that improves lives around the world. And so many alumni and friends who give generously of their time, their talent, and their treasure to this community. We're joined as well by board members, elected leaders, community members, and academic leaders. And I'm so grateful and proud to be able to serve you. I have 4 objectives in my talk today. First, to share our strategic priorities for the next few years. Second, to give you confidence in the thoroughness and inclusiveness of the process that led to these priorities. Third, to inspire you to believe that this path will make our great university even better. And finally, to show you how you can help our community to achieve this bold vision. In the 6 months or so since I arrived in Durham, I've enjoyed meeting and learning so much from so many of you. I've traveled around the state to Concord and Manchester and Whitefield and Wolfboro and many, many other places, as well as Boston, New York, Washington, and Atlanta to meet with our alumni. And it's been incredibly inspiring to meet with so many good people who care deeply about the future of this university. The depth and breadth of your commitment to UNH is astounding, and your aspirations for making our university even better are truly impressive. Today I want to talk about how we can work together to enhance our university by pursuing several specific strategic directions. I want to acknowledge, however, that many people have been working hard to make this university great for over 150 years. From Ezekiel Diamond and Dean Petty to Joanne Leitzel and Mark Huddleston, faculty, staff, and university leaders have devoted their lives to this university. My hope is to work with you to fulfill our potential as the flagship public university of this great Granite State. The challenges that we face today are not the challenges faced by President Gibbs or even President Ann Weaver Hart, and so our solutions will be similarly new. Our 4 priorities reflect core values that are at the heart of UNH's mission: student success and well-being, academic excellence, the state of New Hampshire, and a strong financial foundation. And certainly I draw great inspiration from our community's proud history of envisioning, innovating, and creating to grow and thrive. Together, you have built and expanded our campuses and our colleges. You have designed new programs of study to meet the challenges of a changing world in a dynamic, high-tech economy. You've established new research programs, new labs, and new partnerships. You completed the largest fundraising campaign in the history of the university. You've made UNH more affordable for students in need, and you've attracted record student applications and enrollments. You have brought UNH incredibly far, and I'm so proud of this community for making UNH the great institution that it is today. What is new and exciting about the 4 strategic priorities I'm announcing today are their bold and visionary aspirations. They'll focus our progress in 4 strategic priority areas in the coming years. They will transform this university, and they will allow us to become a national leader among public universities. So here's the path that we've taken to get to this point. Several months ago, we began soliciting ideas from people in the university community about strategic directions. We used a traditional framework for doing this analysis called SWOT, Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats, and then we also asked people to share their aspirations and the metrics that we might use to track our success. This effort was incredibly broad-based. We received thoughtful input from the cabinet, my leadership team, the Dean's Council, led by Provost Wayne Jones, the Faculty Senate, led by Professors Scott Smith and David Bachrach, the Student Senates, both undergraduate and graduate, the Operating Staff Council, the PAT Council, the Foundation Board, and the Alumni Board. And after all that, we incorporated that input into a survey of the university, and over 3,000 of you shared your ideas in that survey, which is astonishing. 3,000 people responded to that survey. A team representing faculty and staff then pulled all of this input together into a set of strategic priorities, and that's what I'll be talking to you about today. First, though, I want to just have a word about terminology. So strategic priorities are the primary areas in which we'll work over the next 5 years or so. A good strategic plan has only a few strategic priorities. Aspirations are what we dream of UNH becoming. Aspirations can be described in words or in numbers. I'll describe an overall aspiration for our university, as well as aspirations for each strategic priority. Initiatives are specific things we will do to address our strategic priorities and to fulfill our aspirations. I'll announce some specific initiatives today, but there will be more, and likely many more, over the next few years. And finally, metrics are simply ways that we can track our progress. So, priorities, aspirations, initiatives, and metrics. Our overarching aspiration is bold indeed. We will transform UNH into one of the top 25 public universities in the country. We'll measure this based on the most important elements of academic performance. So let me repeat. Our aspiration is to transform UNH into one of the top 25 public universities in the country in the most important measures of academic performance. This is a big goal. It will challenge us to reach higher and further than ever before, and it will make UNH a national and international example of higher education innovation and success. These are indeed big goals. There are roughly 700 public universities in the United States that grant bachelor's degrees or higher. So this would put UNH in about the top 5% of those institutions. Fortunately, I have tremendous faith in our success because of the talent, expertise, and compassion that you bring to UNH every day. You've made me a true believer. So now, on to the specific strategic priorities. Our first strategic priority is to enhance student success and well-being. Our aspiration in this area is that UNH will ensure timely graduation for all of our students. They will be engaged and ethical global citizens. They will learn here, secure in the knowledge that they are all, regardless of any differences among them, valuable members of our community. They will graduate prepared to thrive not only in their first jobs, but throughout their careers. To accomplish this, we will become a national leader in designing the educational experience from the first year through graduation. A student came to my office hours earlier this year. In her first year at UNH, she told me, she suffered from headaches and memory loss. She dropped out of school that year when she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. This year, she will graduate with a degree in nursing. She's a great example of just how tough and smart and resilient our students are. We can help all of them to succeed, just as you help that student to succeed. We've already identified several initiatives associated with this priority. First, a university-wide retention campaign, which has already been kicked off in the Office of the Provost. Second, rethinking our core curriculum. This has great potential and will need to be undertaken in partnership with the Faculty Senate. And I do want to say here how much I appreciate our strong partnership with the Faculty Senate and its leadership team. Third, we will provide facilities, support, and incentives to offer state-of-the-art, evidence-based teaching and learning. This could involve online learning, flipped classrooms, and well beyond. We'll identify the metrics we'll use to assess our progress, but they'll likely include graduation rates, alumni surveys, and evidence from the upcoming campus climate survey that asks everyone at UNH if they feel genuinely welcomed here, and if they believe that they can fulfill their potential here, and that's what we mean by well-being. Our second priority is to expand academic excellence. Our aspiration is that UNH will have increasingly strong and diverse students and faculty from across the country and beyond. UNH will be known and respected for its high-caliber academic programs. We'll have distinguished research, scholarship, and doctoral education recognized around the world, as we already do in a number of the areas in the arts and sciences and in the professions. The lamp of knowledge lit in Durham will burn brightly for our students and for our citizens. Some initiatives associated with this priority. First, we're going to re-envision our honors program to create a new UNH Honors College. A team will come together to establish key attributes to attract top students, including more flexibility in choosing courses, more opportunities to support learning and career success, increased faculty mentoring, and even some specialized housing for those students who are interested in that. Second, we plan to create and expand scholarship programs to continue to strengthen and to diversify our student body. We are working on some right now that I hope to be able to announce very soon. And third, identify and invest in high potential research and graduate programs and expand graduate education at both the PhD and the master's level. Our metrics for this priority may include the percentage of enrolled students in the top 25% of their class, the percentage of underrepresented faculty and students, graduate program rankings, and our ability to maintain our recently accomplished Carnegie R1 research classification. Our next strategic priority we're calling Embrace New Hampshire, and its weather, apparently. Our aspiration is that New Hampshire residents will be incredibly proud, maybe even wicked proud, of UNH. We will be known as the jewel of our rugged, beautiful Granite State. Many, many students in New Hampshire will grow up wanting to come to UNH. It will be the first choice of our best and brightest students in New Hampshire and beyond. UNH will prove itself to be a trusted and valuable partner in advancing New Hampshire's quality of life and in supporting our economy. No matter where we travel in this state, we want people to be proud to call UNH their flagship university. We are, of course, deeply involved in New Hampshire in many, many ways already, especially through, for example, cooperative extension, which works directly with more than 100,000 New Hampshire residents each year. Initiatives here include establishing a business advisory council and working with business leaders to further economic development in the state. We're well on our way to forming this council, and I have to tell you, there's just tremendous enthusiasm in the business community about working with this university. Second, expand leadership and student visits in Concord. We've already begun to build relationships with people in both the Senate and the House, as well as commissioners and the governor's office. And finally, deepen our relationships with New Hampshire high schools and make sure that they know how strong the UNH of today actually is. This could involve students, alumni, and staff. And to give you a sense, I'm going to go off script for a second, to give you a sense of the opportunity here, we put out a note and said, would any students like to go back to their high schools and talk to them about how great UNH is? And in a pilot program over the Christmas holidays, 40 of them showed up. And 40 of them went to visit their high schools to talk about the great experiences that they've had. We've had some volunteers from within the faculty community to join them on those next visits. And I think that we're going to really change the perception in the high schools of New Hampshire and beyond by going out and simply telling them our story. I think that's all we really need to do. Possible metrics here include the Granite State Poll, our state funding, partnerships with organizations in the state, and applications and yield of top quartile New Hampshire college-bound students. So by now you're probably wondering, wonder how we're going to pay for all this. Our final strategic priority is to build financial strength. Our aspiration is that UNH will be a national leader in aligning budget and resources with strategic priorities. UNH will be accessible and affordable for students by diversifying revenue sources and effectively managing expenses. UNH will meet the full range of student needs by providing world-class faculty, facilities, and organization. This priority is crucial. In fact, all of our priorities and all of our initiatives are absolutely dependent on our success in this area, all of it. So initiatives. We are establishing a new standalone finance department for the university to be led by a chief financial officer whom we will hire. Currently, finances at UNH are managed in two distinct organizational areas. We're going to combine them into a single office and leadership role responsible for UNH's financial health. Existing finance personnel in the offices of the provost and the vice president for finance and administration will be moved to this new organization. It's important that you understand that this reorganization will not increase the number of senior administrators, nor will it increase the cost of administration materially. In fact, I think we are going to come out ahead on this one, and I'll provide details on this in the coming weeks. We'll undertake a deep dive in understanding and managing our costs in both academic and non-academic areas using both internal and external resources. We'll seek to diversify tuition revenue to include UNH Online, micro-credentials, and professional master's programs. We'll create a strategic funding pool to support our initiatives. And finally, within the next year or so, we'll be initiating the next new capital campaign. Metrics for assessing our financial strength could include the percentage of revenue from sources other than traditional undergraduate tuition and fees, as well as the national rank of our costs for in-state students, and as well as our volume of deferred maintenance on buildings and grounds on our campuses. So, these are our four strategic priorities: enhance student success and well-being, expand academic excellence, embrace New Hampshire, and build financial strength. But before I close, I want to return to our overall aspiration. I mentioned before that our goal is to be among the top 25 public universities in the country based on the most important elements of academic performance. We're determining exactly what those will be and how to measure them, but I wanted to give you some ideas. So it certainly could include graduation rates. It could include student participation in what are called high-impact learning experiences. Also, student post-graduation success, perhaps as a function of the family income of the family that they came from. Also, educating a diverse set of students who will help to make up New Hampshire's future workforce. Research funding per faculty member, number of top quartile academic programs, and so on. So this is a lot of work to do to sort that all out. But I wanted to give you just a sense of where I think we can be in the top 25 nationally. So we'll be tracking progress on these key metrics and sharing them through the web and through other means. I believe very strongly that this level of excellence is within our grasp, but it will take concerted effort on the part of the entire university community. Where do we go from here? So I expect to get feedback from today's presentation that will help us to further refine these ideas. And if you'd like to provide feedback, please email me at, is it behind me? presidents.office@unh.edu. In some cases, we're already implementing initiatives, as I mentioned a few, or have identified the people who are going to implement the initiatives. In other cases, we'll be putting together teams to determine exactly what it is that we're going to do. So if you'd like to participate in an initiative I've mentioned today, please send me a message. If you have a different initiative in mind you want us to consider, send a message. Actually, any thoughts you have, just send me a message. Pretty much is the point. I won't belabor the point. We have created a website explaining and updating our strategic priorities and giving you yet another way to provide feedback, and it is at unh.edu/future. Yeah. Everything's working today. This is great. Before I close, I want to emphasize that my asking you for feedback, your feedback and your help, is not some kind of pro forma exercise. We are competing with other universities that are larger, better known, and better funded. We have a lot of ground to make up on them to be able to achieve this aspiration. But if I've learned one thing in my short time here, it is that our university, New Hampshire's university, is unmatched in the commitment, enthusiasm, loyalty, and downright grit of its students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends. We can reach these aspirations only because we know that we can count on this special community to work together to build an even better UNH. I have tremendous faith in you, and I'm so incredibly grateful and excited for the success that we will achieve together. So, will you help make the University of New Hampshire an even greater institution? Will you help UNH students to succeed in the classroom and in life in ways that we never imagined? Will you help UNH to expand its academic excellence and reputation to new and amazing levels that will attract the best students from New Hampshire and well beyond? Will you help to build relationships across the state that will help people to realize that UNH is absolutely indispensable to the prosperity of New Hampshire? Will you help us to find the financial resources to make all of this possible? I'm confident that you will. As I said in my very first speech to this community, on video actually, I believe in the University of New Hampshire. And now, 6 months in, I can say proudly that I believe in you. It is an honor and a privilege to be your president and to be in a position to ask you for your help as we pursue these aspirations. This is an important moment in our history. Let's seize it together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we do have the opportunity for some Q&A. I see we've got microphones on both sides. And as you know, you've probably attended a few of these kinds of things before. The only hard question is the first question, right? The rest of them are easy. So who would like to ask the first question? Yes, sir. You want to come to the microphone here? Because there's a million people in this room, so probably a good idea to use the mic. It's a low-budget thing. The mics don't come to you. You actually have to go to the mics. Over here. Over here. I'm sorry. I didn't know you didn't know where they were.
President, your strategic priorities emphasize our being able to attract and maintain the best students available. A friend of mine is doing work in New Hampshire to help high school kids who are not on a track to go to college or university, whose parents, these are the first timers if they were to come. What can we do to help the kids who are less oriented towards the kind of high achievement that the university offers?
Okay. All right, thanks very much. Well, I mean, I haven't really said much in my talk about the system of higher education in New Hampshire, but of course, UNH is part of a system which includes 3 other institutions, Granite State, Keene State, and Plymouth State. And also, there's a very large organization of community colleges in this state. and then, of course, a number of private institutions as well. And so I actually believe that there's a place for all students at UNH. I do think that, in the system or in the state as a whole. And we have approximately 1/3 of our students are first-generation college students. So forgive me for those of you who I've told this aphorism before, but a friend of mine wrote a book, and the epigram for the book was that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. And our job in public universities is to bring opportunities to talented people wherever they are. And that's part of what we do here. I was just at Keene State on Friday, and they're doing a wonderful job there. Same at Plymouth State and Granite State, and the community colleges system is as well. Now, and it's not necessarily an either or, because as you probably know, many students in New Hampshire start in one of the community colleges, and then after they get a 2-year degree, an associate's degree, they transfer here or Keene or Plymouth or what have you. So I'm pretty confident that there's a place for everyone here. I've been reading in the budget discussions recently about the challenges for some of the secondary schools and the school districts in the state. And they certainly have their challenges with funding and being able to lift those students up and get them in a position to be ready for college. And I certainly wish those people well in what they're trying to do there as well. So thank you for that question. Yes, there's a mic here if you'd like to use it.
Little call for me. Hi, so my name is Megan Bailey. I'm a third-year student in double majoring in environmental conservation, sustainability, and outdoor education. And my question is, in 2017, UNH was awarded a Platinum Star rating for sustainability, making us 1 in 4 universities with this title. In what ways do you believe that we are deserving of this award? And how do you plan on expanding upon all of this wonderful progress we've made so far?
Thank you.
Thank you
for that. Yeah, the level of recognition that the university has gotten for sustainability is both amazing and well-deserved. And, it's funny, I see it everywhere. So I just had lunch in what for you grown-ups is called Holloway Commons, and for everybody else is called HOCO. So I just had lunch there, and literally walking out of the dining hall here, I saw all of these signs, don't waste food, all right? Think about it before you it literally said this, before you take the second or the third or the fourth piece of pizza. In my case, the fifth maybe. But so, I see sustainability, trying to, for example, reduce food waste. And I'll just stick with the dining hall. Some days they pile up all the food waste from anybody who eats there, it's mostly students, and pile it up and just show it to people and say, look at the food we're wasting in a time of food insecurity. But if you go from there, if you go to energy, if you go to people trying to conserve various kinds of energy on campus, I think and it's not me, I inherited all of it, but it feels to me like that's well-deserved. And I hope that we can simply continue that. I don't know about expand. I haven't seen any proposals for that, but I want very much to have us stay where we are. And if there's more to do on energy or on food waste, I'm happy to learn more about it. It's not something, frankly, I've spent a lot of time on yet, but I'm really proud of what people who've come before me have done, and we certainly want to continue that. So thank you for that question. All right, we can call it a day if you want to. What are there snacks you're trying to get to? And I start talking about food and everybody loses interest. All right, well, super. I will stay around as long as you would like me to talk with you and take individual questions. I think I'm supposed to go talk to some members of the press first, but heartfelt thank you for coming today, for everything you've done to get the university to where it is, and if you'll allow me to make an assumption, on the assumption that you're going to help take us to the next level. Thank you for that.